whether there are times of year when the prices are higher.
1 month last year, the government statistics recorded different prices for each 4 weeks of the month. In week 1, the price was 5 per kilo. In week 2, it was 3 per kilo. In week 3, it was 4 per kilo. And in week 4, it was 8 per kilo. So what would a typical price be in that month?
Now we need to find out the average monthly price. And this is calculated by adding all the totals together and dividing by the number of weeks. In this example, the average monthly price is 5. When you have averaged the monthly price data for a year, try drawing them as a graph. It's a useful skill to be able to read price pattern graphs. What do these graphs tell you, Max?
Well, it appears that there are certain times of year when prices are higher. On this graph, months 4 and 5 are when the highest prices are obtained. Prices are very low in the middle of the year, which is the main supply season. It also seems as though prices are generally rising.
Seasonal price patterns are more important than individual prices. Typically, prices go up when supply is short, or when produce has to be transported a long way. This line graph shows typical price patterns for a seasonal crop, and the bar chart shows the volumes supplied. As you can see, prices start very high, but fall rapidly as supplies increase. At the end of the season, prices increase again, but not to the same level as at the start. This is a simple marketing rule. When supplies are low, prices are high. Max, is there any information which can help you understand supply?
We do have agricultural statistics for my area and the country as a whole. They tell me the important crops produced, but I am very doubtful about the figures on area of each crop under production, and particularly the volume produced. Even individual farmers do not have accurate records of their area and yields. I have found out some interesting information from the markets. Every day, they record the number of lorries and pickups that arrive and the crops they are carrying.
That is really useful information, Max.
Yes, it is. Now I know that lorries carry about 6 tons of produce and pickups about 1 ton. Using this data, I can calculate the volume of the major fruit and vegetable crops that are supplied.
That is excellent, Max. So now, before you go to the market, you have an idea of prices, how they change, and the existing volume of supply. Now you must talk to the most important people, those who buy and sell the produce. Part 2. Information gathering from the market. When he goes to the market, Max needs to find out 2 things. First, he must find out detailed product information on packaging, pricing, quality, seasonality, volumes, and competition. And secondly, Max needs to find out about the business side of marketing. The names of the traders to do business with, their main products, and payment terms. When Max has won the confidence of a trader, he will probably be willing to give him a typical range of prices and how they change. Price information also needs to be checked by asking other traders. But remember, no one can give more than a best guess of the typical range of future prices. It is very important to take out references on buyers and traders before encouraging business links. Often the best people to ask are other traders and the government representatives in wholesale markets. Ask them which traders have good reputations. And you should always remember that people will give biased answers. It is a good idea to always ask yourself, how does this answer benefit them? And people hold very different opinions. It is only after Mex has started hearing the same replies from a number of different people that he can feel confident that he is gathering accurate information. Part 3. Reviewing the findings.
From this viewpoint, you can see all my area.
Yes, it is a beautiful view, Mex. But tell me, what have you discovered about production and marketing in your area?
Well, starting with production, I now know what crops are grown, where they're grown, the harvesting seasons, and typical yields. For example, in the center of the main valley, most of the citrus is grown. Around the town, there are many small vegetable farms growing a range of summer and winter vegetables. There is also one high valley area, where it is cold enough to grow winter vegetables in the summer. I have drawn a diagram of seasonality for different crops in my area. The citrus is harvested from September through to March, but can be sold out of a cold store for another 3 months. Tomatoes are harvested in the main valley in the spring, but it is too hot for summer production. However, they can be harvested during the summer in the high areas. Cabbages are a winter crop in the valley, but an excellent summer crop in the highlands areas. Melons are a summer crop grown in the valley.
What were the main problems that the farmers talked about, Mex?
Well, they differ from area to area. The citrus growers sell their crop on the tree to contractors, who harvest, pack and transport their oranges. They felt that they could get better prices if they did the picking, packing and transporting themselves. The small-scale vegetable growers sell directly into our small town. They would like to harvest their crops earlier when prices are high. In the high valleys, the growers' biggest problem is the high cost and difficulty of getting transport.
Who provides the packaging and transport, Mex?
There are 2 transport companies in the town which hire out 6-ton lorries. These are used by the contractors who market the citrus. The growers around town either hire pickups for individual trips or have their own transport. The growers in the high valley have no transport and must rely on the occasional visit from a buyer. There are 2 small companies making wooden boxes, and there is an agent in town selling new and second-hand plastic and cardboard boxes. I also found a cold store which is underutilized.
Where is the produce from your area being sold, Mex?
The small-scale vegetable growers mostly sell through the small wholesale retail market in our local town. The farmers in the high valley hardly sell any goods at all. Most of the citrus is transported away by contractors for sale in the big city market.
And what did you learn from the market, Mex?
The wholesalers in my town asked for a wider supply season for crops, and particularly for melons and tomatoes earlier in the summer.